Shaun and Blake to get up and just speak to you for a few minutes. Thank you.
My name is Blake Middleton. The funny accent is not because I've done something locally here, it's because I live 9,000 miles away. And the reason I'm here is because of something that I started becoming aware of actually more than 6 years ago. First thing was that I had a kind of a personal double whammy. In a 5-month period. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, followed by a very rare cancer called GIST. And the MS didn't really scare me too much because it's generally not a fatal disease. It can be, but usually isn't. The cancer scared the heck out of me, and especially because it was a very rare type that you couldn't treat it with chemo or radiation, only with surgery, which I had, along with a chunk of my intestine, which got removed, and a few other things. And about that time, I became aware of a gentleman who standing right next to me, Shaun Lewicki, through the Sailing Anarchy website. And he started a thread. I read the story and I was humbled. But he was inspired to create a unique race, which of course is now Heaven Can Wait. He basically put together a very brief trial run in 2005 with a handful of boats that went around to see if this would be feasible. And then about that time, I was already aware of this event, this potential event going on. And I started talking to Shaun and said, this is a really cool idea. I would love to come and participate. And then I started thinking, oh, the logistics of getting on the other side of the planet, local transportation, housing, meals, you know, a boat to sail on, the whole bit. And he sent me a note back and said, you are nuts. He said, all you have to do is get here. If you get here, if you show up, we'll take care of you. And we even won the first year, at least the line honors anyway, and came back and sailed it the second year. And by that time, it was becoming obvious that Shaun was working really hard. He was kind of a one-man band. He was basically doing everything. And what I do professionally in the summertime in Minnesota is I run sailing races. I do it literally 6 days a week from late April until the end of October. And so I said, look, this is nuts. You know, we need to take some of the burden off of you, and I'll come back and help out for a couple of years. So this is a cause. You know, people ask, why am I doing this? I'm actually surprised more people aren't doing it. I have a lot of friends in the United States who keep saying, how can I get involved? And my answer is, well, there's a website. You can get involved that way, you know, which I would like to remind everybody. I'm blown away by how much we've raised just in the last 3 days. I think we've raised something like $9,000 just in 3 days, which is phenomenal. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to personally request that each of you take a minute, go to the Heaven Can Wait website, and you know, you don't have to donate $500. 10 bucks, seriously, 20 bucks. Just be part of the process. That would be cool. I mean, this is a cause. This is important to me, and this is why I come back every year. And this is the guy. This is why I come back.
Thank you, Blake. Those people that know me, I have sailed all of my life. Even as a little bloke, sort of my father would plant me in a sabo, and off we go with a little bloke called Jimmy, and we'd spend the next 3 to 4 hours capsized. But still, got out there in the middle of Des Moines, and we ducked ferries and things like that, and it was pretty terrifying, really. It wasn't until I started sailing down at Pittwater and racing some of the Admiral's Cup boats and things like that, I really got the bug. That was all through the late 80s, and there was some pretty heavy hitters around then, and some pretty nice guys that took me under their wing and had some pretty good times during those years. As a result of my cancer and being in the marine industry for a lot of my life, offshore was no longer an option. I couldn't do it anymore. I just didn't have enough left in me to do it. Sort of lying there in high dependency in John Hunter Hospital, I was sitting there watching the wall, watching the paint slowly flake off, and gradually it turned into Lake Macquarie. Well, it was in my mind anyway. I was on some pretty good drugs, mind you. I even at one stage there got to ask the nurse just to put a little bit of paint back to make Pulbar Island. My sister had just won the Ashes. It was all happening on that wall, and that was what I got to stare at for 24/7 for 3 months. When I got home, forget walking down the street, I just couldn't do it. I made a bit of a goal, and that was to walk out to my sports boat sitting out there on the front yard. I said, right, we'll get closer, we'll get there one day, until finally I was able to clamber on the back of the boat. And I sat there for, well, it was probably 3 hours, and I smelt the salt. It felt good. You know, I could feel the boat under my bum. You know, I could feel the water sort of just in the air, just through the smell of the boat. I thought it'd been washed pretty well in the few years that I'd been fighting cancer, but obviously not enough. Anyway, I thought just one day I was just sitting there. It was a fairly warm day in early October, and I thought, you and I are going to come back and we're going to sail again. He's not going to answer back. Here's the boat. You know, it's just going to sit there and go, well, whatever. We're going to have to do it. You know, that was the plan. Was 1 year from that day, we would start in a yacht race. It didn't matter what yacht race, and it didn't matter how many boats turned up to sail with me. The thing is, we'd start a yacht race. 12 months later, to the day, I started that yacht race, and it was my very own. We were late. Yes, we couldn't get the keel down, which is a bit of a problem. But throughout all of this, the very first time I thought the suggestion of having a race around the lake for 24 hours might have some credence was I spoke to my father, and Dad has been there from day one. Dad, unfortunately, 2 years ago, was diagnosed himself with bowel cancer, and subsequently he gave it a pretty red-hot go, and unfortunately February we lost him. So Dad was there with me at the start. The very first race he handled everything on the shore. Anyone had any complaints, they went and spoke to Dad. They left me alone, which was nice, but I copped it later on. Unfortunately tomorrow I'll say goodbye to the gentleman that Dad was, and those that knew him knew he was a gentleman. And we devote the trophy, the perpetual lantern, that's to signify Dad and remember Dad. And for all of us who've lost family, friends and loved ones along the way, just remember that when that light burns, it will burn for you over that 24 hours. It'll burn for your friends. It'll burn for your family. But going down on Sunday, the very last boat on paper, whoever came last, it'll be their honour to come and extinguish the flame and carry the dream until the following year, when we'll do it all again. But on behalf of everyone who's been involved with this project of mine for the last couple of years, especially when it's really started to take flight, I thank them all humbly from the bottom of my heart. Dad, we're going to ride. And to those sailing and those here and those participating tomorrow, thank you so much.
Look at them go. Stunning, and that's the burn-up. That is the burn-up between the 18. It's absolutely firing along.